That was fun. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to achieve all 10 of those shots, from shooting through to editing, so you can recreate them for yourself. As the video goes on, the shots will get more advanced and more epic, so be sure to stay to the end to see the best ones. And while I shot them all with the Insta360 X5, which I'll link below, and this video is sponsored by Insta360, however, you can achieve all 10 shots with any 360 camera from any brand. Insta360 just has the best reframing software, so the editing process is going to be much easier if you have an Insta360 camera. Also, if you want to build on the skills you're about to learn in this video, feel free to check out my 360 video masterclass, which I'll link below. Now, all shots from this video were shot in 8K 30 mode unless I say otherwise. Shooting a whip pan could not be more simple. Literally just set up your camera and hold it in front of you, ideally with some nice scenery on the other side, and let the camera roll for at least 10 seconds. Now here I have the shot in Insta360 Studio with the guides turned on to help achieve better symmetry. So before you get started on any of the shots I'm about to show you, you want to make sure your guides are enabled here in this menu. Editing this one is super simple. All I'm going to do is right click the mouse and that will instantly add a keyframe. Now I'm going to let go. I'm going to press the space bar to play it forward for just 1 second, and I'm going to add one more keyframe. Now I'll play the shot forward a few seconds, pause again, and move the shot across to my point of view. Now I'm going to add another keyframe here. Now when we watch it back, you'll see it pans across like so. And that was pretty good, but I think we can make it even smoother. And to do that, I'm going to click the line in between the two keyframes around the pan. And this brings up an animation menu, and I'm going to choose fade in, fade out. This makes it slow to a start and slow to a stop. Now, when I watch it back, let's take a look. Nice. The shot whip pan from me to my point of view. To film this one, you want to get the camera really close to a wall with an interesting texture or color. Then walk from one side of the wall to the other with your face close to the camera if you want to be prominent in shot. Now here in Insta360 Studio, this is what the shot looks like. I'm just scrolling in and out with my mouse, and it's really just as simple as moving the perspective towards you and zooming out as far as you can go. Again, I'm going to right click to add an instant keyframe. Now I'll play the shot forward and it should stay locked on in this perspective. So there shouldn't be any need to create other viewpoints. Now this shot was a total accident. I was here in this foresty area trying to find a cool shot with the texture of the tree bark. So I decided to hold the camera really close to it and move around the outside. Little did I know, it made for two really cool and interesting perspectives. The first one was just this super wide angle shot of the tree bark, which is fun. The other one I discovered by accident by just zooming out all the way, just like with the graffiti shot, and setting a keyframe here. And it also created a kind of tunnel that looks like it's from the point of view of the tree. So I'm going to play this clip forward and you'll see the symmetry is lost. So all I'm going to do is right click the mouse and adjust it so the hollow circle stays in the middle of the grid lines. And I'll keep playing this shot forward to keep the shot perfectly centered. And it's as simple as that. Sometimes the best shots don't require super fancy shooting or editing. They just require super fancy creativity. This shot was another happy accident. To film it, I just held the camera above my head on a selfie stick and walked through these neon lit trees. So here in Insta360 Studio, I set my first keyframe as a tiny planet. So whenever you set a keyframe manually here at the bottom, it will bring up this menu, which is basically filled with presets of different reframing angles. And all you're going to do to achieve the tiny planet shot is click tiny planet. Then you want to move it around so you're facing forwards. I'm going to zoom in a bit so I'm more visible. Now I'll play the clip forward and pause there. I'm going to add one more keyframe here just to lock those few seconds in place as this tiny planet perspective. I'm going to play the clip forward a couple of seconds and pause it about here. Now with the mouse, I'm just going to drag it so it's now an inverted circle, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit while I'm at it to create a bit of dramatic effect. I'm going to right click to add a new keyframe here. Now I'll play the timeline forward again, the equal amount of distance as before. I think that's around there. And I'm going to right click, but this time I'm dragging down to create my tiny planet. Now, when we play that back, it's done a full 360-degree backflip that looks really cool. It's kind of like an Inception style shot crossed with a conventional tiny planet. Now for this shot, to achieve the smoother motion, I shot in 5.7K 60 frames per second. To shoot it, I just held the camera over the edge of this railing and slowly lifted it up to reveal the building behind me. Now here in Insta360 Studio, I've set my in and out points as well as my first keyframe to be pointing up at me waving. Now I'm going to play the clip forward and pause it there. I'll readjust while right clicking so I'm angled more towards the building. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now I'll play it forward right to the end. I'm going to zoom in further and right click to add a keyframe. Now let's play that back. Nice. Final thing to do is apply slow motion. So if you click this lightning bolt icon, that's time shift, and then drag it across the timeline. Now we're going to lower the speed to half. As you see, that increased the length of this clip. Now when we play it back, it slowed down 50%, and that's just helped smooth out this camera movement. Anytime you have fast moving shots or you plan on reframing around a lot, I would recommend shooting in 60 frames per second because this will buy you more individual frames to smoothen out the movements later, as opposed to trying to slow down 25 or 30 FPS, which will look noticeably jittery in comparison. Here's how I did this one. Kind of looks like I'm walking a dog very slowly, and I'm holding the camera really close to the grass and then sweeping it up to get a clear view of this monument. Now I've added a couple of keyframes to animate this shot, and my first one is a really wide perspective here because the movement of the grass looks so good from a wide angle perspective. So when I play that forwards, it actually looks like I'm moving much faster than I really am. As you saw in the behind the scenes, I'm moving pretty slowly here, but in wide angle, it looks fast. And yes, I did also line the camera up perfectly with the shadow of the monument to help avoid overexposure. Next, I set a second keyframe with the exact same perspective, and then my final two keyframes zoom in while tilting up simultaneously, creating the sense of the monument getting bigger and more epic. For the stop motion effect, you'll want to hold your camera on a selfie stick out beside you and walk ideally in a straight line for as long as you can possibly hold the camera. Now this will get really tiring on your arm after a few minutes. I lasted about 3.5, so do your best. Even 1 to 2 minutes should be okay. Now the fancy trick here that I applied is actually a template from the Insta360 mobile app. So here inside the shot lab, you'll find the stop motion effect, and all I did was import this clip and let the app work its magic. For direction, I set it forward and playing at normal speed. Alright, to pull this one off, firstly you'll need to find a location that has details all around and ideally something interesting above you. Like here in this pergola was the perfect example. And to film it, I put the camera right in the dead center and press record. Then at about a 5 or 6 foot distance, I walked around the camera a couple of times, keeping the exact same distance. If you want to make this one extra cool, repeat the process at multiple locations. For this one, I'd also recommend shooting in 5.7K 60 since it will help capture the movement of the rotation that extra bit better. Alright, so here I am in Insta360 Studio and I'm just going to zoom right out with the mouse wheel here, and I want to center this circle. So there's just like a little bit top and bottom, not too much. We do want to fill up most of the frame here. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to play the clip until I start walking around the outside. That will be our starting point. So it will be about there. Again, I'm going to right click to drag, and as soon as I let it go, it's going to lock this keyframe in place. Now from this point, we're going to do things a bit differently. Since this shot is really symmetrical, especially with the circle, it would be so easy to throw it out by manually dragging the screen like this. So instead, what I'm going to do is play the clip forward a bit. That's good. And now I'm going to manually place a keyframe, and here in this manual menu, I'm going to select rotation. I'm just going to rotate myself back to the bottom. So now I'm just going to repeat the process. I'll play the clip forward until I'm halfway around. I'll place a manual keyframe and rotate myself back to the bottom. Now to just give you a quick preview, when I play that back, voila. I'm right at the bottom like a hamster in a hamster wheel. Now I've repeated the process with my other two shots, keeping a similar distance of top and bottom ground. Then in my editor, all I did to sync them together was cut right on a footstep to help sell the transitions better. To film this one, I held my camera on a selfie stick above my head and walked as far as I could in a straight line towards the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne. And I know what you're thinking, this isn't that advanced. Well, it's actually surprisingly hard to walk in a straight line in public for 4 minutes straight, because there'll be things on the ground to navigate, people will get in your way taking selfies, and it can actually turn out to be a really challenging task, which is why you want to make sure in advance that you have a clear line of sight all the way through to the thing that you want to finish at. So for me, it was this shrine here. All right, so now here in Insta360 Studio, to reframe this shot, I've added a keyframe and I want a top-down perspective showing the ground as relatively flat. To do that, you'll have to play with the perspective options here. We've got two of them. There's FOV control and distortion control. To flatten out the ground, I'd recommend changing distortion control. As you can see, it's flattened it out a bit. You won't want to go all the way to 0, maybe around 10 or so. And with FOV, I'm going to zoom out to 140. That looks good. Now it's just a matter of playing the clip forward. I'm going to skip through. I can see the camera angle changes for some reason. I'm not sure why. In fact, I'm going to go right to the end here and see what it looks like. And it's on an angle. It's probably because I'm angling the camera slightly. So I'm just going to drag this across. I'm going to right click to add the keyframe, keeping myself right in the crosshair. Now, if I skip through this clip and just look at random points, it looks like I remain in the middle of frame, which is awesome. So now again, it's just a matter of adding the speed effect of time shift. So I'm going to drag that over the entire timeline right to the end. And I'm going to speed this one up to 32 times since we have a fair bit more ground to cover in this one. Now with the motion ND effect on, I'll export the clip and voila. Now the final shot of the 10 is using the exact same clip we just used, just reframed in a different way. Now what I'm going to do here in Insta360 Studio to create a variation of this shot is click this button here, which is clip management, and press create new clip. This essentially wipes the slate and allow you to reframe the shot from scratch while still keeping the other one or two there in reserve. So this time I'm going with a barrel roll, and I'll say that the barrel roll effect only works with a shot that is completely straight. If you start turning left and right and changing directions, it's going to get so disorienting that your audience are probably going to puke. So luckily we got that. So to start this clip here, I'm going to right click to add a keyframe. Now I'm going to go right to the very end of this clip where I want the barrel roll to finish. I'm going to manually add a keyframe here. First, I'll straighten the drift issue, so I'm facing forward towards the doors. And I'm also going to rotate a full 360 degrees. Now, when we watch this clip back, you'll see that it will slowly rotate the shot all the way around by the very end. Now, there's only one thing left to do, and I think you know what it is. So I'm going to add the time shift effect by selecting the whole clip. Now I'm going to speed it up to 32 times with the motion blur effect on. Again, I think these types of shots work best when you've got at least 1 or 2 minutes of footage to work with. Otherwise, the rotation is just going to be a little bit too fast. However, you could counter that by not going quite as fast with your time shift speed. You could cut it to say 16 times if you're working with less footage. All right, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm curious to know which one was your favorite of the 10. Let me know down below. And if you want to learn even more shots than what you see in this video, you'll find heaps more inside my 360 Video 101 course, which I'll link below. Now, if you've been using the Insta360 mobile app but haven't yet gotten your head around the Shot Lab, in this video here, I'll show you exactly what it is and how to use it, as well as what the absolute best effects are that you must try.